When it comes to sporting clays shotguns, the choice is vast. The amount of differences out there, not only between makes and models, but even inside the same model, can get a little confusing. Certainly when you're starting out, and even now, when I've been doing it for a few years, it still confuses me a little. Each shooter is so different that each gun will act differently for them. Today I am going to look at rib and stock spec with these three different guns. Each of these is a Caesar Guerini Invictus 1, but I have a standard flat rib sporter. I have the Multisport, which has the sporter barrels and the Monte Carlo stock, and I have the Ascent, which has the Monte Carlo stock, same as the Multisport, but with a step up rib barrel. Each of them has their own strengths, each of them has their own weaknesses. Today, we're going to look at weight, balance, sight picture, and I guess shooting them as well to determine which one is right for you, which one is right for me, and I don't know, maybe put a few of the old arguments to bed. Guys, let's rock it. Let's introduce the guns before we start. This is the Sporter, the Invictus 1 Sporter. You have a standard non-adjustable stock. I believe this gun retails for about $5,500. The adjustable comb is a little extra, which brings it up slightly closer to the price of the other ones. You have pretty wood, rubber pad, adjustable trigger, Invictus action with its million-year guarantee, or million round 10-year guarantee, which is pretty good, and certainly looking at a gun we'll see later, they really do stand up to a good deal of abuse. The forend on this one is an American rounded forend, or a rounded forend, and on top we have a tapered tramline flat rib. Flat meaning it is flat from the back of the action to the front. There's no steps, there's no nothing, it is just a rib. This particular one is Barbari's school gun and has done tens and tens of thousands of rounds, so it's a little bit less pretty than some of the other guns we're going to look at in terms of finish. It's certainly starting to have had a bit of a life. This gun is versatile. This is a classic sporting setup. Flat rib, flat stock. You couldn't, whenever you ask Google for a picture of a shotgun, this is pretty much what it would paint you, right? In terms of profile and silhouette. It's there or thereabouts. It's versatile, and by versatile means you can take this game shooting, you can take this clay shooting, you can do all manner of stuff with it. And it is tried and tested. In fact, I'd go as far as to say the vast majority of clay guns look a lot more like this than the other two. If we take ourselves all the way to the top, this is the Ascent. The Ascent has a step-up rib and a Monte Carlo comb to match, or stock to match, with an adjustable comb and a beaver tail forend. It's also 32-inch. It has flat black barrels, or matte black barrels. The step-up rib, as you can see, raises from the level of the action above the line of the barrels. What that gives you, in conjunction with the stock setup, is greater visibility around the gun, meaning on a flat rib gun, you've got the barrels right underneath. This raises you away from them and allow you to see down and below the sides of your gun a little bit more. It's great for people who like to track targets a little bit, but inherently, because of the stock spec being Monte Carlo and having that higher rib, means you can adjust that cheek piece up a little higher, give yourself more Monte Carlo out the box, which is perfect for people like me. Longer necks, lower shoulders, taller people, generally, right, will like a bit of Monte Carlo. And so out of the box, regardless of how you feel about the rib, there's going to be certain benefits to having this stock versus rib setup. In the middle, we have the Multisport. This is hybridized, if you like, between the two. You have the flat rib of the Sporter, the beaver tail of the Ascent, and the same stock spec as the Ascent, meaning you have the Monte Carlo. When this is flat, it gives you a very similar sight picture to the Monte Carlo on the Ascent. But again, gun fit is an interesting thing, and sight picture is an interesting thing, and we might dive into that a little bit later. Again, it's a great hybrid for those who need a Monte Carlo stock, prefer also a little bit of rear end weight, does balance the gun out nicely. You'll check all the balances in a second. this is a great option. Certainly that step up rib, as much as it does provide you a little bit of sight around the gun, some people don't like it. And so they will go for a flat rib with Monte Carlo. And I guess it gets a bit confusing. This is what we're here to delve into. Let's start with balance. All of these are ready for balancing weights. So inherently this test is only based on out of the box balance. The Ascent sits a 1/4 inch in front of the hinge, but it's quite fussy on where it balances. That extra rib will increase the barrel weight slightly, which will displace some of the weight over the ends of the gun. When guns have a lot of mid-weight, they're not too fussy on balance. It's amazing, you can sort of be there or thereabouts on the balance and they'll just sit there for you. This Multisport is very likely to be bang over the hinge, ever so slightly behind the hinge, but you see how unfussy that is, how unwilling it is to tilt either way. That displays some good weight distribution characteristics. It's got to be a better balancing way. I keep thinking there's got to be a way of designing gun balancing system that actually balances shows the between hand balance, and I haven't quite figured it out yet, but I am working on that, as opposed to just the hinge pin balance, which doesn't tell you a lot about where the weight is distributed between the hands. We'll figure it out. This Sporter, interestingly, is a little bit towards the front. A lot less wood at the back. It's a 32-inch gun. Where do we sit? I'd say about half an inch would be about right. Oh no, it's a full inch. That's quite a lot. It's a front heavy gun. I would say out of the box you're probably going to want to put the stock weights in there, but Guerini do something called the M-Spec with fixed choke barrels that is such a delight. Such a delight, I think, anyway, to shoot, because it removes a lot of that barrel weight, so you can have a stock that's spec like this with a gun that balances just behind or just on the hinge. So if you didn't want to buy those balancing weights, I'd say out of the box, I immediately prefer that Multisport. It just feels between the hands a little nicer. I have shot all of these before we were filming just to give myself a head start. It automatically does move a little bit nicer. The weight distribution is a little bit nicer. The Ascent, it is technically balanced in the middle, but because the weight does sit at the front as much, it just takes a little bit more movement. And the Sporter, well, it's a little front heavy for my liking out of the box, but that's what balancing weights are for, right? People always complain about gun balance, but pretty much every high-end gun comes with a gun balancing weight system, either for the fore end of the stock. They make guns to be middle of the road, pretty much, right? Most gun companies make a gun to sit in the middle of the road, and if you want to diverge from the middle of the road to make that gun yours, you're going to need to do something about it. Trying to find the perfect gun out of the box is not a reality. Either in gun fit, for most people, they're going to need some tweaks, or for balance, or for handling, or the way the grip feels. We're all different. And so they can't make a gun just for you. Well, they can. It's called a custom gun, and they're really expensive. If the base gun is 5.5, we've got just under 6 for the Multisport and just over 6,000 for the Ascent. If you put the adjustable comb on this Sporter, it's £150, £200 extra, and that brings it up in line. So in terms of pricing, they're all there or thereabouts. Yes, they do get more expensive, but if you're spending around that £6,000 mark and £100 is tipping it either way, I wouldn't choose any of these based on price. Does that make sense? You should at that point really be either thinking I'll save the extra £100, not I'll save the £100 and just get this one. You should buy which one's right for you. It is an investment, right? But you get 10-year warranty, so it's at least a 10-year investment, which isn't bad. What's that, £50 a month? £50 a month. Plus you get to sell it at the end. That's not terrible. Is that right? £600 a year? No. Yeah, £50 a month. Balance and handling go hand in hand, as I've just said, right? A gun that balances well doesn't necessarily handle as well as it balances, and a gun that doesn't necessarily balance well can handle quite well. It's all about weight distribution. As I've said, this is the one that sort of sits right to me to start with, although this doesn't mean this is bad. This is just going to be, to me, feels the most natural. This is going to suit certain people, and this will suit certain people as well. Yeah, ergonomics. Ergonomics change ever so slightly. The grip style is slightly different on the Monte Carlo, and more importantly, the Monte Carlo is a completely different shape. Monte Carlo essentially lowers the pad off the line of the comb, or raises the comb off the line of the pad, whichever way you prefer to think about that is fine. What that allows you is the gun to sit low in your shoulder. You've seen that's quite where I like it, a little lower in my shoulder, and your face slightly up. That head up position will allow you to use the better part of your eye sometimes, be a bit more comfortable, and everyone is slightly different with what they prefer there. I like a Monte Carlo gun. I like a flat gun, but a flat gun has to be right, a Monte Carlo gun has to be right. So I have spent a bit of time adjusting these. I actually quite like the Caesar Guerini adjustable comb system. It's relatively simple and extremely robust, unlike some other makers out there that take a degree to change. This is one tool, comes in the box. It's a large Allen in the inside and a small one for the 2 screws that will set your height. So no spacers. They've got 2 little grub screws that will dictate your height. The forend designs are personal preference. A smaller one will give you a little bit more grip and a bit more control. A bigger one will sort of lock your hand out of being too aggressive with it sometimes. It's a personal preference thing. You can, when you order a Caesar Guerini, order a different forend. I can't imagine they'll charge much. If anything, just to swap out that for a rounded one is me probably getting in trouble with Caesar Guerini, but in my head it would be illogical for them to not go, yeah, we'll change that out. The only difficulty, of course, if they change a forend out, is it will be not the one that was factory matched to your stock, unless they do a factory order, which might take more time than them just pulling a gun off the shelf and swapping it over. They should do that. If they don't do that, they should do that. So without further ado, let's get them shot and find out, does that sight picture on the Ascent help? Is the classic Sporter realistically what we should all be sticking to because it's tried and tested? And does the Multisport actually do it all? Does it make a difference? Is it worthwhile? Recoil management. I'm going to shoot a pair of A's on report. That doesn't have an adjustable comb. That's worth mentioning, and so I'm having to put my face on it a little harder than I might like. These are only Sporting 100s, they're not particularly kicky shell. Automatically softer. And super soft. Weight really is a big deal when it comes to recoil. Based on that one very unscientific test, Sporter recoils more. The Sporter has a smaller stock, is more front heavy and is lighter overall. The Multisport recoils less. A lot of the way your head's set up, the way that it is fitted better with that comb, and the fact that it's just more rear heavy and heavier overall makes it sweeter to recoil, and that is exacerbated again with the extra weight that it is in the Ascent. All right, let's do shootability, or at least handling. So we're going to shoot that little B target right there, little downhill, close, simple enough thing. It's going to require quite a lot of gun movement. We're going to shoot a few of those, and then we're going to shoot a few of the back ones with each gun, just to, I guess, learn how it moves and draw some conclusions. Immediately when I pick this Sporter gun up, it comes up higher on my shoulder. I do feel more conventional with it. It's perhaps a little less comfortable for me, but it's also not fitted to me because it's, you know, a factory 15 3/4 inch stock. Let's shoot a couple of Bs. Immediately you can feel it's a little slower than the other two from where I shot them before. That front end weight and the way I'm sort of hunched into it, which is no bad thing, to have that head down, flat rib, slightly higher stock, the way it's set up for me, I feel a little slower with it. It's very calculated. The whole move happens a little slower, a little bit more fluid. Where the gun target is above the gun, where the target is above the gun in its flight path, there's not much of a benefit to seeing a bigger sight picture. Yeah, I mean, no bad thing. Next, the Multisport. Bear in mind that that has one bead. Both the Multisport and the Ascent have their 2 factory beads in. I was going to take them out, but I didn't think that would be very fair. Let's rock it. I mean, just the movement to get that in front of that target is way more natural for me. And for me is a big word here. The reason they make these 3 guns is because there's 3 different people out there who will like them. For me, that slightly heads up position suits my body shape. I like the fact that I'm a bit more open, and I like the fact that weight is brought a little bit more rearward. It allows me to connect, focus, make, move, bash. A lot of that heads up position you've gained here allows me to use the center of my eyes rather than looking too hard out the tops, and actually visually engage over the top of the gun. And yeah, I said about that, the target's coming from the top, but actually having the gun lower in my peripheral vision is nice. Immediately just feels better. I mean, we could say more than that and we'll delve into a bit more, but just when you pick a gun up, regardless of make, model, if you don't feel a little bit dangerous with it, feel like you can push the limits with it, that's not a gun for you. And I'm not saying you're beginning, but as you progress as a shooter, your second and third gun, you should pick it up and go, I'm going to kill that clay early and I'm going to do it. Feels that way to me. Now, onto the big boy, the high rib. Those matte black barrels you get on that Ascent gun, it's not a high rib, is it? It's a mid rib, step up rib. The Ascent rib is in fact what it's called. I do like the matte black. It's nice, it's youthful. Youthful. Immediately when you pick it up as well, you can feel the extra weight in your left hand. It's not a lot, but you can feel it. All right. Nice. Definitely slower again than the Multisport. But you can counteract that by starting and working from the front edge of the bird rather than the back edge of the bird. I like that. Not as much. It feels a little bit more work to me. I expect if you're into your sort of front edgy type of shooting, that might suit you, but let's shoot a gun up and see whether that changes things. Immediately switching into that maintain diminish style for that target felt more natural. I sort of automatically shot a bit more swing through with that flat rib, shot a little bit more pull away with the Multisport, and immediately feel more comfortable shooting maintain because I can see more of what's going on, so it's, I guess, less visually difficult. That is interesting. I found the whole process took a bit more time with this. I always felt like the clay was going faster than the gun. Onto that massive looper. Where it's behind the back, I've no context of distance, but I do know when I shot it for the recoil test, the gap is big. Ooh, not convincing, but a hit. But pretty good. Not as big a gap as it was a second ago when it was quite windy, but still quite big. So big looper, a fairly long way away, probably in that sort of 45 yard, 50 yard range, 45 yard range. And it doesn't peak out much, so you're shooting it as a crosser with a lot of drop. Started behind the clay, pulled through the line, pulled the trigger when it felt right. That is the immediate response with that. Very much like a shotgun, that sporter, as it should be. It's a sporter, it should just feel like a sporter. There's no point, as we said in the past, doing crazy stuff. Make a gun that feels like the gun that everyone should feel. Any gun that is a base gun like that, the base of the Invictus range, should feel like a bit of a vanilla gun. Everyone likes vanilla. That's the point. Real vanilla, like vanilla pods, not like vanilla fake essence. That's real vanilla beans. Multisport. A little bit more control. Tell you what, shooting different guns back to back is always difficult, but it's even more difficult when they're so similar in the hand and in the eye. All right. I'm hitting that target. Did you hear me hit that target? Me. There we go. There we go, baby. What's interesting is where I'm seeing a lot more rib and being able to move the gun differently. Although the guns are so similar, this is why it's important to actually try different guns, because I shot that well and I'm shooting this well. But sort of, I guess that's a good question. When you go to a gun shop to buy your first or second gun, it could be a worse idea to try them back to back. Never thought about that. But doing this now, I'm like, without understanding what I was doing wrong and taking a second and going, shoot it differently to how I shot the last one, and smoking 5 on the bounce and proper breaking them, would have never ever chosen this if I'd missed those. So what did I shoot? 2 out of 4. in the first 2 pairs. Not bad, but not, just felt clumsy. Got in, locked in, shot it proper pull away, and was killing it, but actually engaging earlier where I was trying to do it the same cadence, timing and breakpoint with the other gun. Now, no idea how we're going to perform with this Ascent, but we're going to find out. Oh, baby! Interesting. Carries a lot of momentum out that front end, and so the sight picture between them, because of the way you're shooting them and the gun speed, it appears quite a big gap with the Sporter, medium gap with this, and with this, it's more about placing the gun in the right place. It's a bizarre thing shooting these guns back to back, and I knew it was going to be an educational experience and probably one that was going to challenge my limited shooting talent. But that was very interesting, that the perceived lead and the perceived perfect move between all 3 of those guns is different. One stock and barrel set, one stock and barrel set, and one mixture of the 2. We're going to go into another stand, but before we do, I caught Richard Faulds at the entrance. He shoots one of these, and I thought I'd find out a little bit more about his gun, because, well, world champion's advice is better than other advice. Mr. Faulds, this is your competition gun. With so many specs available, why did you spec it like that out of interest?
I like a traditional style over and under, flat rib. A lighter barrel for me, I find works better now. I've got a custom stock on that one. It's got a quite a swept back grip, no checkering on it. Felt much more comfortable for me without the checkering. Weight wise, I think it's just on £8, so it's not particularly heavy.
It's pretty light by competition gun standards.
Yeah, it came with the M-Spec fixed choke barrel, which I've since had teagued, so it's got teague internal chokes in there
just
now.
To keep that lightweight out the front.
Yeah, and I've used that gun now for the best part of the last 10 years. I think my sporting average now is probably as high as it's ever been.
Quite impressive.
So yeah, I love it, and it's, you know, it's the Invictus action, so it's got the 1,000,000 round guarantee. It's got the interchangeable parts inside.
Have you had to change them yet?
Not yet, no.
And
so
many
she's
thousands
doing pretty
of
well.
rounds.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many I've put through it, but you know, she's still going strong.
The bottom line is to try them and see which one you like the most. Like with most things, right, is you can read into it, you can look at the paperwork and go, this should suit me, but until you've actually pulled the trigger.
100%, and that's why, you know, there's all different shapes and sizes of guns, because there's all different shapes and sizes of people, i.e. you and me.
I thought we were pretty similar. All right, on this stand, we're going to focus on the ability to have more sight picture, and it looks like this B-bird is a trap style target, something going away and rising. Everything we've shot so far has been falling into the gun, and the A-bird is a nice big crosser, not that big, 35 yards, big, and you see its belly, should be nice and simple, but it's a great combination of targets to play with sight picture. So first we're going to shoot just a few of this B-bird, just the trap target, and see, and then we'll shoot a few pairs, run a few pairs through each, and draw some conclusions. This is more confusing than I thought, right? Inherently, the basics are true, and this is why people say them. Better sight picture, heads up position for the Ascent, about halfway for the Multisport, and traditional Sporter is the versatility and a little bit more aggressive into the gun because you haven't got the Monte Carlo. Depending on your body type, there will be people out there who still have to get aggressive with that Monte Carlo. It's going to be interesting to see how we can pick this one up visually. Maybe not quickest off the arm game, but just see how quick we naturally shoot it. Starting with the Sporter. That gun shoots a lot higher than I was expecting. Let's shoot that again. Multisport. Oh, quick. That was a little quicker than I was comfortable to, but actually totally acceptable. Where I can suddenly see around the gun. There's no barrel blocking that bottom left-hand side. I can see it come from the trap. Just holding into a space and pulling the trigger as soon as it feels right. Let's do two more like that. Actually, no. Two each is fair. This high rib was originally designed for trap guns and has sort of bled into the sporter world of, they came up with the Impact, those super high ribs. They've kind of settled down now, and we're now in this mid-rib thing that's come and gone out of the sporting world over the years, from the trap market bleeding in for the people who wanted some of the features it provides. Technically, it should be really good at this, but let's find out. I'm not that quick. I'm not that quick. That definitely feels good. Let me just shoot that a pair actually naturally. That's about the perfect spot. There is definitely a benefit to having a higher rib or higher sight picture with targets like that. I don't barely let it get behind my gun when I'm pulling the trigger. With that flat rib gun, I am having to overtake it a little bit, certainly when I put my head in the right place. I'd love to have an adjustable cone version of that, would make this test a little fairer, but not the end of the world. All right, let's try a pair. See how that goes for us. A little speed on that A will be beneficial, but I also would, I don't know, I'd in my head prefer just a standard flat rib Sporter for shooting Adobe Carosser like A. Let's go. I was like, that was really nice. It's because it's the Multisport. There we go. It's even got a big 1 on the bottom, so I don't get it confused. If you think this is hard for me, it's going to be even harder to edit, so I do feel sorry for you, Sash, because they do look pretty similar. All right, that was a little bit more normal. Killed that first one where I was most comfortable killing it again, with also the most speed, because it's a sim pair. We don't want to be trying to shoot that second one rolling and awkwardly on the drop. Want to kill it whilst it's still under a bit of speed. Later than the other two, but still a confident break. In that particular pair, there was no need to kill it that quickly. Or there was no need to kill it quicker. Let's shoot the Multisport, although I've already shot it and confidently smoked the pair. It's quicker, it's better. It's actually better for target acquisition in that first instance. The second bird, I don't think it makes much of a difference, other than I'm engaging it quicker because I've got more time, because I can shoot that first one confidently quicker because of its neutral balance, even though it's heavier. All right, Ascent. Quicker engagement again. No need to shoot that second one that quick, but actually I don't mind shooting this gun with a bit of maintained lead, so just putting it out in front of that clay into the right amount of space and pulling the trigger felt natural. Didn't feel natural with the flat rib gun. Shouldn't have made that mistake on the last pair. I got hungry for it. But definite benefits to be seen with a target like that by being able to see more openly beneath the gun. And yeah, you've still got 2 barrels hung underneath, but it's amazing what that little bit of difference makes, just certainly in your left eye being well above the barrel in action. I do feather it, but I can still see some stuff. All right, I'm happy with that. All right, let's have a couple of shots, see how quick we can nail this. I reckon we'll do it before the hedge. I don't know if I can do it quicker. We are going to find out. No, that was super quick. I was below the hedge, baby. I'm happy with that. I genuinely love this Multisport. I really do. I think I was skeptical as to whether it would be the best of both worlds. But to be fair, the guys I know from Caesar Guerini UK and Caesar Guerini USA are shooters. And so most of the things they're producing run through them, and they're not bad shooters. They are good shooters. And so they understand what a gun should be, and they're not going to be releasing stuff that is pointless. It does have a point, and it's been a real cool thing to see over the last, well, since Caesar Guerini started, well, nearly 20 years ago, in that ballpark. They've done a great job at going from guns that looked really good and were okay to actually making proper machines. And for those who don't know, the Invictus, just as a gun design, is exceptional. On the inside, you've got fully replaceable hinge pins, but the hinge pin actually sits on the barrels, or the rotation sits on the barrels. You've got a gigantic Invictus patented block. You've got a huge locking surface area, and they do guarantee it for 1 million rounds, which is impressive. And at first you go, really? But looking at Richard's gun, his main competition gun in the back of his car, and I mean that school gun that's here that will have done 100,000 rounds in that ballpark. They are way hardier than the original Guerini thing, and they're up there with some of the hardiest guns in the world. It's an impressive build. That was a really interesting afternoon. I thoroughly enjoyed going through all of that, and I drew some conclusions, but mostly it was a bit of a voyage of discovery for me as well, having that one in the middle, because the Sporter versus the Ascent's a pretty simple thing. Having that one in the middle does change things. Who should buy the Ascent? Well, somebody with a longer neck for sure, because you can really extend that Monte Carlo. Someone who really likes that heads-up position, somebody who wants a hybrid trap, DTL, sporting gun, somebody whose ground shoots a lot of rising targets. Perhaps if you struggle shooting rises and you're a bit slow on them, that's going to be a hack that you need. Everyone's different, right? So that's how I'd see that. Who should buy the Sporter? Well, somebody who wants a gun that's a great all-round thing. You're never going to feel bad using it. It definitely shoots well. I'd like to put the balancing weights on it, and I'd probably, if I was to have one, have an adjustable cone or a custom stock, but the adjustable cone is significantly more affordable. There's something about that gun that, as much as I said it was a vanilla bean earlier, it is, but it's a really good one. Like, it is a good gun. It's just, it's a Sporter. Like, if you draw a recipe for a Sporter, that would be it. If you draw a recipe for a great competition gun, that would be it. With no sort of other caveats. But that Multisport really did capture my heart. It is the perfect mix of the both. Like, that Monte Carlo stock suits me better, and I'm aware that the sporting stock suits me less better. For me, the Multisport was king. It is good. The flat rib is a little bit sweeter to shoot than the high rib, but that Monte Carlo stock gives you a lot of the benefits of being able to see a little higher, but not too high, and have a bit of that Monte Carlo, a little bit more of an open position. But again, I am a different shape to Richard Faulds. I'm a different shape to the next guy to walk through this stand, unless it would be weird if it was my twin. Guys, that was interesting to me. I hope it was interesting to you. Like I said earlier, I'd love to know your thoughts on this whole process. It is interesting to me. Try them out, see. The biggest thing for me was how the sight picture didn't just affect how I saw the target earlier, but affected how I had to engage with that target, what the perceived lead looked like, how the guns moved affect that certainly, but the sight picture was the biggest thing with both of those targets there and the targets up the top. How different the gap looked through all of them was fascinating. And I can't really share that with you, because even if we put a shot cam on, it would look identical, because this is about my perception. Guys, take care, goodbye, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for watching TGS Outdoors. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. The channel would not be possible without the support of our amazing sponsors who keep videos coming to you week after week. If you really enjoy the channel and want to support it yourself, please consider becoming a member. Channel members get a bit of extra content. Today we're going to be talking about good shooting advice. But mostly, you just keep us going, and we love the support. There's a great community goes on behind the scenes. Take care, guys. Goodbye, and we'll see you on the next one.